Cześć, mam na imię Angela, jestem z Ameryki i mam 24 lata. Jestem niska i mała, lubię bardzo uczyć się języków obcych i znam angielski, hiszpański, francuski i portugalski. Uczę się polskiego, bo moja babcia jest Polką, ale mówię tylko trochę po polsku. Pracuję w biurze. That's just some of what you can learn through Digestible Polish. Now you know that I like a good food analogy any day, and this is full of them. The idea behind Digestible Polish is that it's a 6-week self-study program where each week you'll have a new topic. I've done 2 parts. I've had the opportunity to test 2 of these parts, not in exchange for doing a video, but I just really enjoyed the course so much that I offered to do this video because I wanted people to know about this. I think it's a really worthwhile course. And over these 6 weeks, the idea is that you're learning it little by little and that you're able to digest it. It's learning Polish in a manageable way. Because with a language like Polish, or any language really, it could be overwhelming to know where to start. But this is a guided self-study program. So what can you find? Well, as I said, it is full of food analogies. So you start off with the weekly menu. And on this menu, it tells you what you'll be learning for the week, or what you can expect to learn, from the grammatical points to kind of vocabulary, the theme, and then it has underneath it the recommended order in which to go through the documents. This is done on Google Drive, and you will get a folder each week containing all of these documents, and they will be numbered, so you could go through them by their number or through the recommended order. I like the fact that it's structured, but there have been times where I've gone through it through the order of the documents and not just through the structure stated there. Generally, it does go in the order of which the documents are numbered, but other times it has you going back and forth between documents for different reasons. At the bottom of the document, Eva presents you each week with a new language learning tip. I think it's very nice because when you're taking a language class, they don't always talk about language learning in general. They'll just talk about that specific language and what you have to do and give you assignments. But she really gets into the head of language learners because she herself is not only a teacher and has experience with teaching multiple languages, but also experience as a language learner, learning multiple languages, and would like to share that with you. After the menu, you'll have different documents, as I said before, ranging from recordings to video tutorials where you can hear and see the grammatical explanations in action, but also hear the lists of vocabulary. That's another thing that you will find are wholesome vocabulary lists pertaining to the topic of that week. The part 1 and part 2, there will be 3 parts to Digestible Polish for the A1 level. I have been able to go through part 1 and part 2 so far, and they cover different topics such as family, introductions, work, shopping, food, travel, all kinds of things that you would talk about in daily life. And through that, you'll have those lists that pertain to those topics. You'll have a section that's called Quench Your Thirst for More. In that section, it'll be a little bit more added to your lesson than you initially had through the grammar explanations. Now, in the grammar chunks, usually that's where you'll start off. She has that broken up by section, and as I said before with the menu, it might have you go there right away, but then it has you go to an exercise next to put that into use already. Then it'll have you go back and then do the next part. Really, as I said before, you can read all those grammatical explanations, or you could do it the way it's recommended, slowly and a little bit at a time, then reinforcing it through those exercises, and then listening to her pronouncing these words as a native speaker, and then be able to go back and learn more grammar. Another thing that you will see are cultural nibbles, and I really like this because sometimes language courses only focus on the language and not the culture, and I like how it's more holistic this way. Because when you're learning a language, it's not just about the language. It's also about the culture behind it and how that can impact the language that you're speaking, the little nuances that they might have because of their culture. Then you'll have weekly speaking assignments, usually 2, but there could be multiple parts to each one. I like this a lot. The course encompasses reading, writing, listening, and speaking. But I would say if you're interested mostly in the listening and speaking aspects, then this course is for you. Whereas if you're more into reading, although it does have that, I would not really recommend this course as much for that, because she really gets you doing the speak from day one type of deal with sending these in. But what's nice about it is you're not just speaking to a stranger. You're sending her, your teacher, your personal tutor or teacher, voice messages through WhatsApp every week. And she'll correct you, and it's nice to have that security of a native speaker correcting you and knowing that what you'll be saying is right. Also, it's nice to have that accountability, because when you're doing a self-study course, you may not be disciplined enough to just go through it, and you may leave it unfinished for a long period of time. But there's accountability, because every week she will be expecting you to hand in these speaking assignments. In other words, you have a deadline. And I really like that, because even though it's a self-study course, there is structure, it's guided if you don't know where to start. The explanations are wonderful. That was something I was lacking when I was learning Polish before through a different app. It did not have grammatical explanations, but hers are very well written, in-depth, and it covers different aspects that could be intimidating for learners of Polish, such as gender of words. There are 3 genders, so gender of words, cases. If you have never studied a language with cases before, she presents them to you slowly and manageably in a non-intimidating way. Another thing that she presents to you slowly but manageably is conjugation of verbs. She doesn't just throw lists of conjugations or tables of conjugations at you all at once. You do it little by little. Now, I was a fan of this course, and I did it over 2 different periods in my life. The first one was when I tested out part 1. I was in an accelerated master's degree program. It was 2 years in 1 year, basically. And with that, I was really busy. Now, why am I bringing this up? One of the number 1 things people will say that deter them from learning a language is that they're very busy. And with a self-study course, of course, if you're going to invest a lot of money in it, you want to make sure that you're using it and that it's worth it. And you want to know, can I do this if I'm busy? I was able to manage. Now, it's all on the individual person themselves. I can't tell you if you will be able to do this and manage on your own, so you have to be very self-aware and know if that's something you can do. In my case, there were times where it got tough, but I thought that the amount that she gave was a decent amount of information, a good amount of information for the average person. Now, in part 2, it was a lot heavier on information. There was more information presented for each lesson than in part 1, as well as more listening exercises, more speaking exercises than part 1. I think it was still manageable, but at times it was a little bit hard to keep up with, so that was one thing that I know was a struggle for me. And if there was something that I could change about the course, I would say that then having slower clips for the recordings, which she did have in part 2, because my ears were getting used to the sound of Polish being spoken for the first time, so I wasn't necessarily used to the sounds of the language, and when you hear a word spoken quickly, it might be a little bit difficult to be able to repeat that and say it for yourself. So that's all I would say as far as things that I would change, but otherwise I really enjoyed the course. And I'll show you guys an example of the speaking exercises. I'll show you through my phone. As I said, it's done through WhatsApp, and I'm currently filming with my phone, so I'll have to edit that in here. I'll give a moment to do this.
Dobro wieczór, Ewa. Jestem Angela. Week 4, Speaking Assignment 1, Part A. Lubię bardziej truskawki. Tak, jem mięso, wolę herbatę, piję mleko, czekoladę i w lodówce zawsze mam jajka i jogurt.
Hej Angela, dziękuję za nagranie. Małe korekty. For strawberries, truskawki. And then piję mleko czekoladowe. Dziękuję.
As I said, I really enjoy that accountability. I like having to have a deadline because I don't think I would be that disciplined on my own to be studying and reaching a certain goal each week, because in reality what it is that she's making sure that you've understood the lesson completely before moving on at the end of that week. Now, I think, honestly speaking, that if you're a serious language learner, you want to learn this, you're going to put the time and effort into it and essentially make time because that's what you'll have to do, then I would say this is the course for you. I think it's great. I think she did a good job. I got a lot out of it. But I do think that if you're not a serious language learner, you're learning more for fun, you're laid back, then I would say this might not be the course for you because this is a little more rigorous in my opinion, and I think that it's great with the structure and the organization, but that's not enough to learn from it if you're not going to put the effort into it as well, because she already put her effort into making the course itself and making sure that you stay on task, but then it's up to you to actually go through and do the course yourself. So that's all I've got. I am really excited for Digestible Polish to launch, and I'm excited for part 3 as well. I recommend that you check it out if you're serious about learning Polish because she is very nice, very helpful. She is enthusiastic about wanting to help others to learn Polish, which is a huge deal, and I would recommend checking it out. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.